doesn't matter where. Yeah, oh man,
Yes,
that is a
absolutely.
sad thing. They get paid for it, and it's sad because for me personally, I see deaths here, and I see deaths in Yemen. I see
Content over everything.
deaths in Palestine. I see deaths, and for me personally, it hurts me to. Are you actually recording?
Got a big thing now. Got a big thing now.
I hate you, but we're seeing deaths everywhere. We're seeing deaths across the world, and for me, death is death. Like wherever I see it, it's here, Ireland, America. Death is death. I want to see what the problem is, the solution, and fix that. But
Do you think it's going to get better though? Do you think?
They're quite funny actually.
I do. I do. We live very comfortably in the West, in the sense that, like, for me personally, I wake up every day knowing that an Israeli missile is not going to blow up my building. I know that. ISIS are not going to storm my borough and take my woman and do X, Y, and Z or blah blah, and I have nothing to defend myself with or defend her with. So I can never say that I don't feel safe, because when I look at the grand spectrum, grand kind of scale of this, there is much worse conditions that I could be in, and this is why when people say that I'm anti-West, no, I appreciate where I am right now. But the problem is that I know that I'm contributing to a problem that is causing other people not to have the potential of freedom of life that I do. Where do I get off? Do you know what I mean? I need to be able to live my life, but not at the expense of other people.
Absolutely.
And that's my biggest problem. When we talk about Muslim, Islam, whatever, no, it's human life, it's human rights. That is at the center and core of all of this. So I have no problem with working class white people, I have no problem with Muslims, I have no problem with middle class white people. There is no problem. Where my problem comes is where people start to then try to take away human rights from other people, or have to have a comfortable lifestyle in expense of other people. So that's my biggest problem, and I don't know. For me, I don't think the working class British public has addressed that situation yet, because there's a lot of crime that happens within like white working class communities. You can go to Bradford, you can go to Telford, you can go to all of these places. They're called back ends for a reason. And this is not to take away from the victims or anything like that, but if they didn't have the kind of like circumstances that they were surrounded by, broken
So you
families.
give him an excuse? Is that
Who?
an excuse? Like these, what was you on about, Telford and Rotherham and all that?
Yeah.
So you're saying basically because their community, that's why they done it.
No, the question is, where were the defences, right, to stop this from happening? Because whether or not it was going to be Muslim, it would have been white. It doesn't matter. These predators are out there. The only thing that we can do as parents and as people is to make sure is that there's safeguards in our infrastructure, the police, and safeguards within stable families that make sure that, what? Is my daughter out at 11? No, are you mad? She's 11 years old. Go on. Say that again?
The police was involved with all that Rotherham and Telford. They were being allowed to do it.
I'd have to disagree, because the police are so underfunded right now, right? They have no power to do anything. They had to pay a child abuser to infiltrate the grooming circles just so that they had something on the grooming circles. That's how desperate they are. So this idea, and then bear in mind as well, the police force is made up of what? Predominantly working class boys. So to say that the police are in on it, that means that the white working class are in on it as well.
They were allowing it to happen. They were allowing it to happen.
Again, I'm not going to make excuses for anyone, and I'm not even going to pretend to say that, there's certain institutions that want this, because there's people up there who want children available for them.
Yes,
But for me,
it goes so high in their need. It's unbelievable.
but that's the thing though, even if it goes high, we need to address our faults. The same way people say Muslims need to address their faults, we need to address our faults. If we had better families, right, looking after their children, this wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
If we had, I'm not saying restrict their freedoms, right, you can be out till 12 o'clock, but let your parent know where you are. If you're at 11, do not be drinking alcohol and drugs with strange men, because they don't have your best intentions at heart. And to be honest, we shouldn't have to be teaching 11-year-olds this, because they should be living in a world where this doesn't even touch their mind. But the problem is that we do live in this mentality, and there are places across in the Middle East where children have to know that they have to duck their heads because snipers are aiming at them. They shouldn't have to, but they do. So what we want to make a society for our children, we can't then say, oh, it just has to be because it's what I believe. No, we have to look at the reality and then be like, you know what? you're not going out. There's a group of lads out there, hang around throughout the night, drink, smoke,
Blank
etc.
television, USA, I want to hear.
Hello. How are you today? But yeah, no. And again, it's not necessarily blaming the British public, but I don't think you can turn around and point at other cultures when this is quite endemically a British culture problem. This has been going on before immigrants came. So we need to address what is the problem, what is creating the vulnerabilities for these problems, and then fund the structures, fund the police a little bit more, fund the charities a bit more, fund the NSPC. Is it the NSPCC? It's the NSPCC. I don't want to get it confused with the animal.
That's
the last week. RSPCA. I don't want to get it confused. But I'm not saying that you have to pay more taxes, but I would gladly pay more taxes if it fixes the problem. And the thing is, when you talk to people and say, okay, let's talk about the taxes, let's talk about the income, let's talk about our budget, let's talk about the military spending, that's when they want to close off, they want to be quiet, they want to sleep. And it's like, so when it comes to fixing the problem, you're quiet, you're asleep. To me, the goals matter. The goals do matter, but when I come with a solution, everyone's like, no, I just want to run on the streets and chant and shout. I'm like, that's not going to fix the problem. They cost the taxpayers, I think, 10 million one year, just because they were having an EDL march, right? That's 10 million that's not going to the police. That's 10 million that's not going to the NHS. That's 10 million that's not going to the NSPCC.
Question, you bring up the EDL or something. So do you think white people, working people, or any working class people, they love their families, they want to protect their children, but yet they're called far right? Do you believe that?
No.
Because I tell you something,
go.
on every march, and I've been to marches, you don't ever see the media tells blatant lies. There's been no hooliganism, fighting, or anything.
And I think this is one of the biggest problems.
Far right, they're just people protecting their kids.
Absolutely.
And they get called far right.
I think it's one of those things where the far right has often been spouting this message for a little while, and they use it as a way to gain publicity and gain attraction. Now, obviously, this has grown a movement, which is a really good thing, because the more numbers you have, the more noise you can make, and the more attention that you will get. The problem being is that some of the big people in the movement, their priority is not girls or the safety of young boys. Their priority is the hatred towards certain people, and that's why they are labeled far right. Give me 2 seconds. Now, the problem that comes with that, and I'll give you an example as to how my schema even was affected by that. I was watching a video, and it was on mute, and it was a bunch of white working class people chanting. I couldn't hear it, so I automatically assumed, oh, far right, EDL, whatever. I unclicked the mute button, and they're saying, Nazi scum, get off our streets. So there is an element.
That when they're Antifa telling those lot to get off the street.
No, but that's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, these were working class people who were against the racist, fascist side of the EDL, telling them this is not what the movement is about. We're trying to get better rights for working class Brits, but you're here trying to make it about racial hatred. So the biggest difference, I'll give you an analogy. If you came to the park here, and Muslims were here,
I come to the park nearly all the time, and I've stopped coming because it got really rough here. It got really rough. The Muslims are beating up each other. I saw with my own eyes. Do you know what I mean? They were sprouting pure hatred. So I had to stop coming because it was horrible.
But I'd ask you, especially when these terrorist attacks happen, do we ask the working, the normal, the functional Muslims to disassociate themselves from these extremists?
I think that they could probably. I don't think they talk up, basically.
Okay,
I don't think they talk up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think they should talk up more and say, this is bad, blah, 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 what they're doing.
Yeah.
But they don't. The modern Muslims.
I would say to you that they're not giving media attention, because oftentimes, like, we have 2 people here who are supposedly kind of like associated with Anjem Choudhury. They've all called him out. Every single group of Muslim, like Dawah team, the Speaker's Corner Dawah team, Ali Dawah's lot, Mo Hijab. They've called these 2 out and saying that this is what makes Islam look bad. You're identifying with extremists, right? Whether you believe he's extremist or not, it's a different thing, but they are calling them out, right? Now, for me personally, it's one of those things where I see it on their side, them calling them out. But that's what you want, yeah? So that's the question. When working class white people go to these EDL marches, why aren't they calling out why aren't they supposedly more vocal, I guess, about the extreme fashion sects of these movements? That's the question. It's not to blame you at all, but it's one of those things where we need to do this together. If we're going to call out extremists, you have to call out extremists on your side as well, because the extremists don't care about conversation. They care about us ripping each other apart. But if the extremists are not there, we have conversations like this. We can have conversations where we talk about the budget, we talk about tax, and we talk about bettering the infrastructure so we have better defenses against these crimes and these predators. We have conversations like this. But if two extremists were here, believe me, they would get the priority to the mic. So we can call out ours, but it needs to be done on the working class British side. And I've met working class British people who come here, taken refugees in, taken homeless people in, and have taken people of high priority who are very, like I said, vulnerable in. And I feel ashamed that I have a schema that just labels all working class Brits in my head automatically. And I have to kind of pull myself back every 2 seconds to be like, no, give him a chance, let him speak.
So what do you see working class Brits as?
Say that again?
What do you see working class British people, white British people as?
Human beings.
Good.
Human beings. I think that should be the ultimate answer to any question like that.
I agree.
You know? It's like Akala said, when the race riots and whatever were going on, all the problems with, the race issues in the 60s or 70s, black people had more allies in the working class than they did in any other class. And you can go to any construction site, any neighborhood, and you can see that automatically.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the problem is, they have extremists as well. And we need to call out extremists. I call out black extremists as well. Muslims call out Muslim extremists. We need white people to start calling out white extremists as well, because the important bit is where we have conversations, not them, where we have conversations, and then things will get fixed. But
So name me a white extremist.
Tommy Robson.
No way, you're wrong.
No worries.
It's not.
All right.
I disagree with you.
Yeah, go on. A little bit closer to home. A little bit
Yeah, I
closer to
think
home.
that's American. Is that American?
Okay, I'll give you an example.
What, KKK?
I was gonna say, just even if we're trying to get like a mundane view, because I use Tommy Robson because he's the more kind of like he's now what's the other guy's name?
European Union, kill the Arabs, hallelujah.
What is it?
Is an Englishman who killed an MP on the street.
An MP on the street.
Oh, Joe Cox's killer, Thomas Mayer. Look, do you mind if I quickly just add on to the Tommy Robson situation? So, like I said, if there's a problem, what would you say? Would you say go start with violence, or would you say come and have a conversation like we're having?
Yeah, he's not extremist. He's just highlighted what was going on and what the media wouldn't put on TV. You know, he had all these different countries, blah blah blah. He doesn't hate Muslims. So, was he standing up? Yeah. He's been called an extremist. Does he go around bombing people up and that and stabbing people?
I'll address those 2 points.
Please do.
Okay, so the first point in particular, you said that the second point. Let me do the second point because that's a quicker point, and then I'll do the first point. So the second point, you said that Tommy doesn't necessarily go up blowing people up and whatever, right? Now, we had Anders Breivik who killed 77 Anders Breivik, he's a Norwegian terrorist, I should say. He killed 77 innocent Norwegians. Anders Breivik came over here, right? And he was not mentored, let me not say mentored because that's inflating it, but he was taught and learned from the EDL. He shouts out to the EDL in his manifesto. Now, when what happened, there is a clip of Tommy, right? And an excerpt of whatever Tommy says. And Tommy says, with the Muslims, do like Breivik. I.e., kill the Muslims like Breivik. That's not extreme. Well, whether or not this is I understand, but this is the problem. When I do present a lot of
MPs and no killing men, hallelujah.
Good luck to you, sir.
But when I do confront working class white people who do ask for the example as to why not to hold Tommy up as a hero, I'm not saying that you do not have merit to some of the conversations, but the question is, when I do come up with actual real life examples of him being very extreme, they say, oh, I haven't seen it. Well, I haven't seen these terrorist groups or these grooming gangs going around, so am I right to say that I don't believe you? Of course I'm not, because they do exist. So the problem is, do you see that as extreme? Someone calling for the same actions as Breivik?
Yes, that was wrong. And we say things, you know, when we're all riled up and that. And, you know, I don't see him as that.
But ma'am, I would never, and pray to God I never get to that kind of like anger and frustration where I do say something like that, but I would never, whether or not we went back to lynching days, we went back to Jim Crow, whatever, I would never in my heart ever turn around and say that we should go and kill white people, because I love white people the same way I love black people, the same way I love Asian people.
They're blatantly cussing white people, yeah?
Oh yeah, I mean...
They're disgusting. I had to come away from them because I was getting angry.
Absolutely.
That is disgusting that they should come here and preach
Absolutely.
that. Have you heard them?
Absolutely. And the thing is, this is the thing, this is extremist, isn't it? This is extremist.
It is so bad.
For me personally, it's one of those things, like I say, they are just reacting. That's it. I don't react. I try to find solutions because I know when you react, you just get more bloodshed. That's it. So I'll give you another example as well where Tommy has exhibited extremism. He talks about how his freedom of speech was denied on Twitter, etc. Twitter has certain rules and it has certain laws, and we aren't allowed to...
Twitter?
No, I haven't been on Twitter forever.
Okay, well I'm not on Facebook or nothing, but I'm on Twitter, yeah?
Yeah.
And they do cut off everyone that is conservative right, yeah? You've got blue ticks, on Muslim thingies, and they're saying like, you know, let's blow up white people, blah blah blah, and it comes up, and nothing gets done about it. We get Alex Jones. Do you know Alex Jones? Infowars. He's been taken off, and it's just not right. You know, let us debate.
But this is the problem. The freedoms that we have,
they knew that he was getting a big crowd. You know what I mean?
The freedoms that we have, they have limitations. And I'll give you an example. No, absolutely. But the problem is, Alex Jones has made so many slanderous, liable comments about certain people, calling them pedophiles, calling them directly saying that they run pedophile organizations. Now, that's damaging. It's not. Do we? No. No, Rotherham, yes. Rotherham, yes.
Telford?
Rotherham, yes, but I'm talking about beforehand. Do you have any proof that these celebrity circles that Alex Jones was talking about had pedophile rings in them?
He was talking about England when he was talking about it, to be quite honest.
He's had so many, believe me, he's had more than enough strikes. And for me personally, I can't, like you said, extremists over there, right? They're saying God knows what about white people, right? And you don't like that.
Do you think we'd be allowed to do that here? Against, if someone come down and stood up and started saying that about Muslims, they'd be taken away by the police.
I'd have to disagree because people have been doing that for the last 7 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
just the last week we had a gentleman over there and he said the N-word 10 times.
10, yeah.
Yeah, he said the N-word 10 times. You know, he basically said he threw the Quran on the floor, basically said he ejaculated on it and etc. And that is, whether or not people want to deny it, that is an attack on Islam.
Of course, I agree, and that is...
he was still able to come to the park a week later. So freedom of speech is basically abused on both sides. We cannot deny this. And to say that only right-wing media is being silenced when it comes to supposedly Twitter and so on. I've had various posts taken down by Facebook, which weren't necessarily inflammatory. So we need to learn the law, and we can't act lawless and then complain when lawful companies basically enact the law. So if you're not doing anything wrong, then you have a right to be wrong. I mean, a right to be angry. But if you are breaking the law, which Tan, Tommy Robson, Alex Jones, all of these people have done, then unfortunately these companies reserve the rights to take you off their platforms. It's not denying your freedom of speech because you can easily go down to a street corner and start preaching what you said. It's their platform. You don't have a right to their platform. So that's why I'd say. So, but other than that, for me personally, I'm not going to tell them what to do, but I want more of the mundane, not the people who go to the pubs, get drunk, and come here expecting a fisticuff, because they're not going to get that. And if they do, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. A lot of these guys, they're very well prepared. They knew that this was coming. It's prophesied. So they were very well aware. But we want a conversation because ultimately solutions fix and better our way of practice. Well, not our way. I'm speaking now as a representative, but they better our kind of scenario and circumstances so that we can practice supposedly Islam, Judaism, Christianity, whatever you want better. Because right now, this tension and this animosity, it's not allowing people to follow their spiritual path properly. So the way we need to kind of like address this is via conversation. And if I say something, don't say, whatever, like it's not even true kind of thing. No, listen to me. And it's the same with you as well. I don't have to be like, she's just trying to. No, I need to listen to yourself as well. Because not listening to someone devalues them as a human being. And this is where a lot of the crimes come from. People who feel devalued and they have to assert power, they have to assert dominance.
I agree.
So if we start listening to each other a little bit more, acknowledging each other as human beings, this would all die within a month. This will all die. But that's all I could say. But I'd say try not to pay attention to the inflammatory characters here. There's money in sensationalism. We can see this with the Daily Mail. We can see this with certain places like Breitbart.
I don't watch the TV. I don't read the papers.
Just try it. It's the same here. Choose your newspapers wisely because some people come here to have conversations.
I know.
Some people come here to make money.
It got really bad here. That's why I stopped coming here.
Even I'm starting to think I need to take a break.
Yeah. I took about 2-3 months breaks.
It's bad on your spirituality.
It is. And it drains you. It drains your soul, man.
But you know what? That's all I can say. I want to go around quickly because there's a lot. But
Thank you.
No, it's cool. Look after yourself, alright?
Can't take over everything from your melody.
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
I'm sorry. If you want me to stand up for Arabs, what is the difference of 10 calling for his race, the racist white calling for his race, and let's all be racist towards one another? Do you want it to be like this?
Because the problem is when you turn it into a religious war, right? Everyone has stake in this.
It's not necessary, no.
And
Jewish
the
people lived
Palestinians are
under the
the Palestinians.
protection of the Sharia throughout history.
Say that again?
Sharia is protection for the Jews. It's not
Absolutely, but the problem is
massacre or